Hey audio nerds, welcome back to AudioFixation, the friendliest audio channel on YouTube. Now I hope you've all had a wonderful Christmas and are looking forward to the new year. So 2021 was another chaotic year for the world, but a terrific year for music. So I thought I'd take a festive look back at some of my favourite records from the last 12 months. There was so much to choose from that I could have easily chosen 50 albums, but for the sake of brevity, I've managed to whittle it down to a selection of 10. Now, these are obviously hugely subjective lists, all of these end-of-year lists, but these are the 10 albums that I've enjoyed listening to the most this year, in no particular order. So we'll start with a slightly contentious pick with LORDE's Solar Power. Expectations for LORDE's third album were sky high after the rather magnificent melodrama from 2017. Solar Power is a different beast altogether though. Gone for the most part are the pop bangers, and instead we get a selection of rather more acoustic, more mellow, hazier tunes with Jack Antonoff's fingerprints all over them. Solar Power is less immediately catchy than melodrama, and sometimes the lyrics do stray into new age nonsense territory, but LORDE's vocal performance remains as beguiling as ever. Overall, I think it's an album which needs time and space to grow on you, but for me, it was an enjoyable soundtrack to the summer. So if it's out and out pop bangers that you want, then look no further than Olivia Rodrigo's debut album, Sour. Now you might well be sick of hearing the lead single, Driver's License, which I still love by the way, but there's plenty more good stuff on the album. Now the lyrics rarely stray from the usual teenage themes of love, lust, heartbreak and awkwardness, but Rodrigo pulls it all off with plenty of zest and authenticity. The whole thing whizzes by quickly and you'll end up staggering off Olivia's emotional roller coaster. It's a loud, sincere pop album and the catchy hooks will be buzzing around your head for ages. From debutante to veterans, the next pick is the, umpteenth studio album from Scottish post-rockers Mogwai. Do they do anything new here? Nah, not really, but they have perfected their blend of virtuoso musicianship, thrilling dynamics and triumphant crescendos, all underpinned by a desolate sense of sadness and a hint of wistfulness. I have to say that this is one of my favourite Mogwai albums and is definitely one to enjoy over headphones, as there's so much nuanced detail in the recording that you will discover on repeated listenings. Now you usually do know what you're getting with a Mogwai album, but when it's executed as well as this, that's no bad thing. Another band who've perfected their art are War on Drugs, but on I Don't Live Here Anymore, frontman Kevin Grandusile has made his lyrics more direct, more personal and infinitely more relatable. So we still get the mid-80s soft rock vibe and the Springsteen/Dylan vocal stylings. Heck, the title track even name checks Dylan, but this time it's shot through with more electronic textures and the overall effect is rather beautiful. Now this is still big music with fantastic melodies and brilliant band performances. It's like an acoustic comfort blanket to huddle under whilst you stare out over the endless horizon or into the starry night sky. Change of pace for the next pick, and that is the second album, Isles, from Northern Irish electronic duo BICEP. Now BICEP built their reputation first as DJs, then as producers, before finally making the leap into writing and producing their own stuff. And Isles is a heady, eclectic mix of tough driving beats, melodic flourishes and wordless female vocal samples. Now this is an album that was designed to work equally well on the dance floor or during lockdown through headphones. It puts me in mind of some of the 90s electronic crossover classics such as Leftfield's Leftism, but this is in no way a retro album. It's just brilliant, forward-looking modern electronic music and I loved it. Dave Omarigi is rather unbelievably still only 23, but the observations he makes on his brilliant third album, We're All Alone in This Together, are those of a much older soul. The lyrics, as ever, span the deeply personal, so at times it does sound like a painful autobiography, all the way to the wider political issues that concern Dave, such as race, immigration and inequality. Dave's trademark piano lines are sprinkled tastefully throughout the record, and there are some fantastic guest vocalists, including notably James Blake, plus WizKid, Bodge, and of course Stormzy. This is a really diverse, eclectic album underpinned by Dave's phenomenal intelligence. It really is a highlight of UK grime. Most of the subject matter is of course completely bleak, but between these hard truths there's plenty to think about. Now, guitar music certainly isn't dead in 2021. How can it be when we have vital young bands like Inhaler from Dublin dropping great guitar rock records? On their debut album, they showcase youthful swagger, catchy melodies, rousing choruses, heartfelt emotion, and a real sense of exuberance. In other words, everything rock music should be. Classic 4-minute rockers are interspersed with slightly more contemplative, mellower songs. Now, frontman Eli Hewson may well be Bono's son, and the vocal heritage is certainly audible, but Inhaler have a sound and voice that is all their own, and they certainly possess an exciting talent. I can't wait to see them live, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they develop. Another youngster who delivered an outstanding sophomore album this year is Lindsay Jordan, aka Snail Mail. Now, her debut album Lush attracted plenty of attention, but Valentine marks a clear progression in every sense. At its heart is Jordan's sharp, observational and confessional lyrical songwriting, but the grungy music now has more complexity and depth to it, with synths and orchestral textures applied sparingly. It's a short record at just over 30 minutes, but remains completely enthralling throughout its length. Now, 25 years into their career, Low continue the deeply experimental trajectory cited on their last album, Double Negative, but this is a more accessible album by far, so it's still impossible to determine the source of most of the instrumental sounds on this album, mangled and distorted as they are. I'm sure there's plenty of guitars in there, you just don't hear them, they don't sound like guitars. However, this time the beautiful vocal harmonies of husband and wife Alan Sparhawk and Mimi Parker are pushed more to the front of the mix, making this an altogether more engaging listen. The melodies are there, buried deep under the squall, and the overall effect is rather like a modern take on My Bloody Valentine's epochal Loveless album. This is an album that you kind of feel more than hear, and it's magnificent. Now, this really has been a strong year for American indie singer-songwriters, and my final pick is Home Video by Lucy Dacus. Now, on her third album, Dacus sharpens her songwriting and delivers a set of brutally honest but incredibly catchy indie pop songs. In this album, Dacus tackles memories from her adolescence, some of which are clearly uncomfortable, but you do get the sense of catharsis from these tracks. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 10 albums of 2021. You might have heard some of them or all of them. I hope some of them will be new to you and you'll love them as much as I did. Don't forget to let me know what your recommendations are in the comments below. And once again, I hope you're all having a wonderful, peaceful, festive period, and I'll see you in the next video.